Mondays, we like to look into the world of mystery and the world of murder.
Welcome to Mark's
Red Rum.
Murder
Red Rum.
Mystery
Red Rum.
Monday.
It's not always a murder. Sometimes it's a true crime story, but I think she does have a murder today. Please welcome my other half, Courtney, everyone.
Yeah, hi.
I love her, and you'll grow to love her. Sometimes it takes time.
It took quite a while for Mark, yeah.
I'm just coming around to it.
More than 8 years in, he's still unsure.
Yeah. Courtney, welcome, first of all.
Oh, thank you.
We had a lovely weekend, and now we take the loveliness and spread it with Courtney's magic murder dust.
Yep.
What do you have for us today?
I have the story of Donald Santini, but I wanted to mention quickly that I woke up to the story that the only suspect in the Tylenol murders died this morning in his apartment in Massachusetts, or his home in Massachusetts, and he was never prosecuted for those murders.
They could never definitively tie him to it. The Tylenol murders for younger boys and girls, essentially, people were dying who had purchased Tylenol. I thought it was around the Chicago area.
It was in Chicago. Yeah.
And they opened up the Tylenol. They found that it was cyanide, or what was in it?
Yeah, there was cyanide in it, and at the time, there was no protective sort of layering around the bottles. So he was going in, buying bottles, and then filling the capsules with cyanide, and then putting them back into the bottles. And
that changed the way they thought Tylenol was going to be done. As a brand. And instead, Tylenol came forward with this packaging, and it revolutionized the way packaging was done across the board.
Yeah.
So last thing on that. So they pretty much were sure. Like, how sure were they that was the guy in your sense of it?
They were fairly sure that it was him. Not enough, obviously, that to prosecute him or arrest him for the murders. But he was the only suspect that they had. So he was the prime suspect.
And he died today.
He died this morning, yes.
Wow.
So thought I would mention that. But I'm here today to talk about Donald Santini, who also went by 13 other names.
Wow.
During his run from it's a wild idea. From the authorities. So he was arrested June 9th, but there's been a lot of conversation because he's had his extradition hearing from San Diego, and the murder that happened was in Florida. So this is a cold case murder suspect who dodged authorities for 39 years.
Looks like a handsome younger man. They're at age 26.
Yes,
Donald Michael Santini.
That is a younger image of him. That's also a 1980s television screen grab, as you can probably tell.
Yeah.
And so he was on America's Most Wanted 3 times, late 90s, and then twice in like the early 2000s, and actually watched his own show. He watched his own episode. Yeah. But
it's a tough way to get on television. to murder a bunch of people, I guess. I mean, you really want to get on that badly. But he did, to be fair to him,
any press is good press.
He did get on 3 times. I mean, so there's that.
Yeah.
It's a wild idea, but it just might work. Yeah, okay, all right.
It's interesting, too, because they knew that he had committed this murder of this woman, Cynthia Wood, but they didn't arrest him in time. And so he went on the lam, if you will, and was dodging authorities for nearly 40 years until he was arrested in San Diego last week.
Jennifer asks, how can I go by 13 names? I can't even think of another alias name, and this guy was keeping straight 13 of them.
It's actually a really good point, because the first alias that he used, he still used his middle name, Michael.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really phoning it in.
Yeah, come on, dude. Come on. Are you going to do this alias thing or not? Right.
Yeah. So, but he was arrested in San Diego last month on the 1984 murder of 33-year-old Cynthia Wood in Florida. Her body was discovered strangled and abandoned in a canal in June of 1984. But his first offense was in 1978 when he was convicted of rape while serving in the U.S. Army in Germany. And then in 1983, he robbed a convenience store in Texas. And there he was using the name Charles Michael Stevens, which is up there. And so that was sort of his first use of an alias. He left Texas and he befriended a woman, moved in with her in Florida, and that's ultimately how he met the victim, Cynthia Wood. Cynthia Wood was a mother with 2 children who was divorcing her husband, who was a real, jerk. He was abusive, among other things. And she was fighting for custody. And so Donald Santini, a.k.a. Charles Stevens, he gained her trust and was offering some information about Cynthia's husband. And so he befriended her in some way and then ultimately took her on a date. And he was the last person that Cynthia was seen with. And they also had his fingerprints on the body. So they knew it was Donald Santini back in 1984. But they didn't have time to arrest him. And so he went on the run.
They didn't have time to arrest him? What does that mean? They couldn't locate him in time? They couldn't
locate him in time before he got away.
That's so sad. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So he's on the run, and then last month there's differing stories, but from what I read, he applied for a passport using a fake name, and that's how they caught him.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so he trying to go to some exotic locale, and that is ultimately how they caught him. Wow. They were actually searching for him in Thailand. There was some information that he might be in Thailand, but he applied for this passport last week. So if you go down a little bit, there's actually, for those who are watching, there's actually an image of them arresting him. So these are images of Cynthia Wood. And then this is the image of him being arrested.
Look at him after
week.
all those years. He's a different guy.
Different guy. Would not have known him from that 1984 image.
Donald Michael Santini. And tell me exactly, so how many murders is he responsible for? 3?
He's responsible for 1 murder, but 3 crimes that they know of.
Okay.
And if you go up one, there's a couple images from 1980. So this is his FBI's most wanted poster. I actually found this on eBay. So anybody who's looking to buy it, it's already sold. But it was, I blew up the information on the right-hand side. So you could read a little more about who he was and all the information they had about him. And then... and
what does it say? I can't see it from here. Can you see it?
I can't see it either, Mark. I have such bad eyesight.
Right.
But
Albert, can you see what it says? Caution, Santini is armed and dangerous or anything like that. I see caution.
Yeah.
No, Kim, you don't see it? Anyway, all right. Well, but it's there.
He's being sought in connection with the murder in Riverview, Florida, wherein the female victim was strangled. He is also wanted by local authorities for aggravated robbery, considered armed and dangerous.
There you go.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So his extradition hearing was June 9th, which was his 65th birthday, which was almost 40 years. Exactly. It was 39 years to the date that they found Cynthia Wood's body. And in that hearing, if you go down a couple images, his greatest concern was that his life, here it is, might be in danger because of the family. And this is his public defender telling him to be quiet because he's all but admitted to the crime that happened. And so he does confirm during this extradition hearing that he is the person that they're looking for in Florida. And so he goes to Florida and he arrives at like 3:30 in the morning, I think on June 10th. So or maybe not June 10th or 11th. So he's there and he will be tried for the crime of the murder of Cynthia Wood. If you go down just a couple more images, there was a really interesting, just down one more. So this is him. He was on the local water board? Yeah, he was the president of the local water board. And he was this like upstanding citizen that everybody had that same thing that the neighbors always say, which is like, I can't believe he murdered somebody. He was so wonderful. But yeah, he was the president of the water board. This is him on the news, the local San Diego news, talking about an issue with the water board in 2018. And he actually had a lot of cameras for where he lived. He lived in Campo, California, which is just east of San Diego, close to the border. And there were only 3,000 people that lived there, but he had like full cameras all over his property, which might have been a red flag if anybody had really taken the time to notice. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. There he is, head of the water board.
Yeah. Yeah. So his ex-wife, read that he had been arrested. And so this is his ex-wife. Her name's Marla. They married in 1980. They have a child, and then he completely disappears. He leaves her. She doesn't ever hear from him again. So she thinks he's dead in 1983 when he abandons the family.
Man.
And then she sees him almost more than 40 years later on the news. And so she does a video call with him from jail. And he says, I don't think I know you. And she said, oh, yeah, you do. We have a child together.
Wow.
And a marriage that you abandoned 40 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So, very layered, very strange story. That's exactly it. I really,
Man.
yeah, it's a really crazy, interesting story.
So he's behind bars now,
goodness.
Courtney?
Yes, he's behind bars now. He was in court crying because they weren't going to let him out on bail.
Oh.
Because as you might imagine, somebody that's been on the lam for 49 years is a flight risk.
Yeah.
There is no defense for my conduct.
Yeah, a good apology, and I won't do it again.
And so the judge all but said there's no way that's happening. So he was crying in court. But yes, he will be tried for the death of Cynthia Wood, which is hopefully some relief for the family. Not relief, but hopefully he will be prosecuted and tried for that murder.
I'm always suspicious of seniors in Hawaiian shirts, says Chris. I don't know if that is something that's a part of the profile that detectives use.
Yeah.
But Chris does use it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, that's...
What a fascinating case, Courtney.
He was going by the names Wellman Simmons when he was in...
That's a great name.
Which is a great name and an
Yes.
interesting name for a water board president. He was going by Wells, yeah. But he had 13... I tried to find all 13 names, but it was difficult to find them all. But I did think that using his middle name on his first
it
alias...
feels very...
he got better at the aliases as time went on.
very high-end,
Receive the royal scepter.
yeah, he does. It does. It feels like it should be in one of the royal thing. What was it? What again? Wellman what?
Wellman Simmons.
Wellman Simmons. Please step forward.
Yeah. So that
that's
is the
great
story.
stuff.
So that is breaking. So that should be developing over the next couple of months.
I love it. Courtney, you have regaled us with a tale, bizarre, full of aliases. You got to love that. There he is
There he
on
is. His ex-wife.
and that's when he was talking to his ex-wife going, I don't know who you are.
I didn't even know they had video calls in. Do they have video calls in prison?
Yeah, I guess. What a great way to stonewall it.
I mean, yeah. It's really just so bizarre.
Yeah.
It feels like that wouldn't be something you would afford them. Like a phone call would be enough.
Well, we just had a story about how an inmate in prison for murder. He just escaped from a prison. I forget where. Kim, where was that? He escaped from prison. Anyway, he was in a gym area, got up on the top of a gym piece of equipment, went through the roof, and then escaped into the woods.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they not only let them have video calls, they apparently let them have gym equipment that is placed close enough to the roof that they're able to, make it out. So
I'm sure that
straight up right in, no problem.
yeah, straight up right in, no problem. So
well, you can imagine that gym equipment got moved really quickly.
yeah, I got an idea. Maybe we should move that gym equipment farther from the exit sign. What do you guys
That's
think?
like the person who unplugged the refrigerator and all of the
And all the samples
went back.
were destroyed. $1 million worth of 20 years of
Someone
work.
was quickly undoing that gym equipment.
Yeah. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Murder
me.
Mystery Monday.
Yes.
On the Mark Thompson Show.
I love it. Courtney, everyone. Yeah. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.